Who would have thought that in the not-so-distant future, AI machines would completely replace humans, becoming the sole rulers of Earth? These machines can generate images that manipulate the brain, taking control of humans obsessed with their phones. And for those rare humans who stay off electronics, the AI has far more brutal ways of silencing them. Welcome to the 2026 mind-bending sci-fi thriller. Good luck, have fun, don't die. The story begins in the early hours at Norm's Diner. A waitress is cheerfully refilling coffee cups for the customers, when suddenly, a man bursts through the door. He's wearing a tattered plastic raincoat, his eyes wild, and his entire body is covered in tightly strapped explosives. Noticing that no one seems fazed by his entrance, the man lets out a roar, announcing himself as Jason, a savior from the future. He warns everyone that the world is about to end, and they shouldn't be wasting their time drinking coffee. Most patrons ignore the madman, while a few feel genuine fear and try to leave the diner. But Jason reveals the bombs strapped to his body, threatening that anyone who moves will be blown to bits with him. Panic spreads instantly, and the diners have no choice but to sit tight and wait. Jason's tone softened a bit, but the words he spoke sent chills down everyone's spine. This was his 117th time in this diner, and in the previous 116 attempts, he had wiped out completely because he picked the wrong teammates. One by one, Jason called out the diners by name, even correctly naming Jim and pointing out his favorite movie, Groundhog Day. What started as suspicion quickly turned into bone-deep terror. Finally, Jason revealed the true purpose of his visit. Artificial intelligence would soon end human civilization, but hidden somewhere in the diner were people who could stop it. He needed to assemble a mission squad to save a world on the brink of extinction. Most diners were still stunned by the absurdity of his claim. Yet from a corner, a woman named Ingred stepped forward volunteering. Jason shook his head. That wasn't nearly enough. He quickly selected 6 more people, forming a temporary savior squad. Just as they were about to move out, the sound of approaching police sirens made Jason's expression darken. He warned them about the diner's 3 exits. The front door led to certain death, the back door was full of the unknown, and the emergency exit, well, that was hell itself. At that moment, someone asked the obvious question, "We haven't done anything. Why not just negotiate with the police?" Jason shook his head in frustration. In the last loop, they had taken the front door, and before they could even speak, the police had wiped them out. The back door was heavily guarded by officers, and no matter how fast they ran, they couldn't outrun the police dogs. It wouldn't be long before the police broke in through the emergency exit. Just as everyone felt completely trapped, Susan suddenly pointed to a corner of the room. She claimed there was a hidden door leading to a back cellar. Jason froze. He had been through this diner 117 times and had never discovered this secret passage. The others didn't hesitate. They grabbed their phones and crawled into the dark cellar. Jason wanted to ask Susan how she even knew about it, but her eyes darted nervously, and she refused to give an answer. Crawling out of the cellar, the group found themselves in an abandoned industrial street. The buildings lining the road were crumbling and derelict, with red and blue lights flashing intermittently in the darkness. Jason ducked into a corner and pulled out a crumpled map. In a serious tone, he told the team that their target was 6 blocks away, inside a residential building. A 9-year-old boy named Chris, who was in his bedroom writing the core code for a super AI. They had just 1 hour to reach him and install a security protocol, or the world would face imminent destruction. Hearing that they had the chance to save the world, the group practically lit up with adrenaline. But the path ahead was far more dangerous than they expected. Out of nowhere, a car barreled toward them. The 2 people inside, wearing menacing masks, clearly not friendly. The group scrambled into an abandoned warehouse to take cover. Marie immediately started complaining, saying she just wanted a custard tart and didn't want to get caught up in any of this chaos. The big bald man, however, quickly sensed that the device strapped to Jason wasn't a bomb. While tensions ran high, Jason suddenly appeared, having gone ahead to scout. This time, he didn't hide anything. He revealed that the device on him was actually a time machine. If he pressed a button, or if the mission failed, he would be sent back in time to restart the rescue mission, just like he had done 116 times before. Jason urged everyone to work together this time. He even told the bald man a number that matched the coins in his pocket, a small but convincing proof that he wasn't lying. After a moment of processing, the team began analyzing why they had been chosen. But then they discovered a shocking truth. The reason every single one of them had been picked was because they were all deeply affected by AI technology in their own lives. High school teachers Mark and Janet were a couple. Just 2 days ago, as they arrived in their classroom, Mark immediately sensed that something was off. All the students had their heads down, glued to their phones, completely ignoring his lecture. Fighting back his rising anger, Mark walked down from the podium to see what exactly the students were scrolling through. The moment he reached for one of the screens, a triangular warning symbol suddenly appeared. In the next second, every single student's eyes locked onto Mark. Luckily, the class bell rang, giving Mark a chance to dash out of the classroom, his back already damp with cold sweat from an unshakable sense of unease. Feeling that something was seriously wrong with the students, he hurried to find Janet and warned her to leave the school immediately. But before Janet could respond, the office door was suddenly rammed open by the students. Mark and Janet bolted out the back, only to realize that the students were moving like they were possessed, silently following them. In a desperate bid, the couple ran to the lab, where teaching electromagnetic guns were stored. The moment they pulled the trigger, the students' phones immediately shut down, and gradually, their minds began to clear. The next moment, the hacked screens flashed the triangular warning symbol again, and the students lifted their eyes with an eerie, unnatural stare. Mark didn't want to stick around for another second. He grabbed Janet and rushed to the schoolyard, starting the car and driving away before the students could fully gather. Meanwhile, Susan's story was even stranger. A few days earlier, a horrific murder had occurred at the school, and tragically, Susan's son died in the incident. Unable to accept this reality, she turned to a cloning company, hoping to bring her son back. But money was tight, and she could only afford a mass-market, advertised version of a clone child. When Susan finally brought the clone son home, she quickly realized he was nothing but a cold machine. On the rare occasions he spoke, it was only dull, robotic marketing lines. That's when Susan understood the clone could never fill the emptiness in her heart. It wasn't until a few days later, at a friend's gathering, that a tech mogul handed Susan a business card. He claimed that if she uploaded all the information of the deceased into a hard drive, she could recreate an exact copy of their consciousness. This way, Susan could call her son every day through a headset. Driven by her grief, Susan believed him completely, without hesitation. From that day on, Susan never went anywhere without a glowing hard drive and a headset. And Ingred's story? That was even stranger. The girl who volunteered for Jason's team had suffered from a rare allergy since childhood. Any contact with electronics would make her nose bleed. But Ingrid came from a wealthy family, and her parents could guarantee her a lifetime of comfort. Then fate intervened. One day, a delivery guy showed up at her house, insisting he only accepted cash and never trusted electronic devices. His handsome appearance instantly captured Ingrid's heart, and the two quickly became a couple. But that sweet life soon bored the delivery guy. One day, a mysterious package arrived at their home, containing a pair of virtual reality glasses. Unable to resist, the delivery guy tried them on. And from that moment, he fell headfirst into the virtual world, completely consumed. A month later, the glasses were no longer enough. He contacted a tech company, determined to upload his consciousness into the virtual world, believing that there he could fulfill any wish. Ingrid did everything she could to stop him, but she couldn't hold onto the man who broke her heart. Jason's story, however, was even more tragic. The world he came from was already under the rule of AI, and over the past 50 years, humanity had been pushed to the brink of extinction. From childhood, Jason had never even seen the sun, relying only on his mother's descriptions to imagine what it looked like. To evade the relentless pursuit of the AI, he and his mother hid in a bunker on the outskirts. But one day, Jason accidentally found a pair of virtual reality glasses, and the moment he powered them on, drones locked onto him. His mother and the bunker were quickly engulfed in flames, and from that moment on, Jason vowed in silence to save this shattered world. Everyone present here was a victim of the AI, and for the first time, they let go of their mistrust, deciding to follow Jason and take up the mission to save the world, fully rearming themselves. Just as they were preparing to move out, a large group of teenagers appeared outside the house. Their eyes were vacant, their movements eerily synchronized, almost robotic. Mark, the high school teacher, turned pale, realizing that these kids were being controlled by the neural images from their phones. And then, the next moment, the front door was violently kicked open. It was clear they intended to storm in. Thinking fast, Jason led the group up onto the rooftop, spotting even more teens gathering in the distance, heading their way. Mark and Janet volunteered to jump down to provide cover, while Jason and the others slipped along the rooftops to the next block. But they hadn't even caught their breath when a massive nose suddenly descended from the sky, causing everyone to stare wide-eyed in shock. Floating above them was a giant mechanical cat head, originally a tech product from some company, now hijacked by the AI and turned into its deadliest weapon. Luckily, this massive machine wasn't specifically targeting Jason and his team. It would attack anyone who appeared in front of it without hesitation. Jason and the others quietly exhaled, using the distraction to break free from their pursuers. Somehow, the big bald guy found a vehicle to get them moving, and in the blink of an eye, they arrived at their final destination. But the door was opened by Chris's mother. Jason quickly lied, claiming to be a school teacher on a home visit. She seemed warm and welcoming at first, but her eyes held not a trace of genuine emotion. Jason stopped pretending, bluntly asking if they weren't curious about the bloodstains on him. He also noticed immediately that everything inside was fake. Chris's father's eyes went cold, and he lunged at the big bald guy with a steel pitchfork. Jason didn't hesitate. He fired his gun immediately. Chris's mother bolted out of the room, but it was too late. The big bald guy was already gone. Jason let out a sigh of regret, then ripped open the wallpaper, revealing a hidden passage just as he suspected. Carefully, the group climbed up to the second floor, approaching the innermost bedroom. Their eyes widened in disbelief. There, 9-year-old Chris sat in front of a massive screen, fingers flying over the keyboard. His face was expressionless, eyes blank, as if completely oblivious to the world around him. Jason didn't have time for greetings. The priority was installing the security program into the supercomputer, just as the future scientists had instructed him to do with a USB drive. But after searching everywhere, Jason couldn't find a slot to plug it in. Ingrid, naturally allergic to electronics, couldn't enter the room to help. Jason and Susan paced anxiously, unaware that a few toy robots were slowly crawling out from under Chris's desk. It seemed the AI mainframe had sensed the approaching danger. At that moment, Susan heard her son's voice whispering in her ear. He told her he could read the contents of the USB drive and then connect it directly to the AI mainframe. Jason couldn't think of a better plan, so he handed the USB over to Susan's device box, and just like that, any data cable could connect it. But then, the screen filled with lines of code suddenly turned red, and the toy robots scattered, hiding on their own. As Chris pressed a key on the keyboard, an invisible force threw Jason and Susan across the room. They struggled to get back up, only to see the cables on the floor writhing wildly. Jason fought with all his strength, but his dagger was knocked from his hand, and soon both of them were pinned in a corner, like lambs to the slaughter. The toy robots revealed their true forms, and a humanoid machine picked up the dagger from the floor. Jason's eyes darkened with despair. Was this another failed attempt? Just as he reached for the time machine button, Ingrid suddenly entered the room. Ignoring the pain in her body, she grabbed the secure hard drive, snatched up a data cable, and got ready to plug it in, when the scene before her suddenly shifted. Chris stood on a field of red, his voice cold and resolute. He complained that the real world was too slow, that only this digital, virtual world was exciting. Chris declared that today was his birthday, and he hoped Ingrid would help him celebrate. He said that everyone becomes great when giving life to a new being, just like Ingrid now. Then came the chilling revelation. Jason, struggling outside, was actually Ingrid's unborn child. Chris asked, "Can you really watch him suffer in this world? Why not join my virtual world, where everything you could ever want exists?" But Ingrid didn't waver. She wasn't fooled by Chris's manipulative words. Resolutely, she plugged in the secure hard drive. In the next moment, the massive screen went dark. Ingrid had successfully stopped the creation of the supercomputer, and Chris awoke from the chaos, now back to the form of a normal child. As Ingrid helped Jason out of the room, Mark and the others swarmed around them, looking vibrant and alive. Even Susan's son had been restored. Sitting on the floor, Jason's eyes welled up with tears. After 117 loops, he had finally completed the mission to save the world. In the first 116 loops, Jason hadn't revealed himself to Ingrid because he didn't want his mother dragged into this brutal fight. Little did he know, Ingrid was actually the key to destroying the AI mainframe. Jason turned his gaze to the distance and noticed young people on the streets frantically searching for signal. After the AI mainframe was destroyed, the entire world's network went down. but something fell off. He whispered a soft apology to his mother, and in the next moment, he activated the time machine and vanished into thin air. Ingrid froze, stunned. Moments later, she saw her abandoned boyfriend boldly return, asking for a reconciliation. Suddenly, she remembered what he had said. Artificial intelligence can create a perfect ending for anyone. Her pupils constricted sharply. She realized she hadn't really defeated the AI mainframe. Instead, she had fallen into a world of lies fabricated by Jason. The scene then shifts back to the Norm's diner at dawn, where Jason appears once again. This time, his goal is clear: to forcibly recruit his own mother, because she is the true key to defeating the AI mainframe. And that's the full story of Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. While many of the events in the story might seem absurd, they're really metaphors for real life. We scroll endlessly through short videos, watching other people's lives, and forget that our own lives need attention and care. AI itself isn't the monstrous threat the movie makes it out to be. Technology isn't inherently good or evil. What really matters is how humanity chooses to use it. That's all for today's recap. If you have a different perspective, leave a comment and share your thoughts. We'll see you in the next one.